So a few weeks ago, a 5-year-old named Cannon Hinnant was murdered in cold blood via a gunshot to the head while riding his bike in front of his home by his neighbor, a black man named Darius Sessoms. The reason I have to specify that his murderer was a black man is because the right has been going on and on continuously about this murder supposedly being racially motivated, even though there is no evidence to suggest that Cannon's murder was racially motivated, but they still want to do this anyway. You got people like Candace Owens screeching about Twitter headlines not explicitly stating that a white child was murdered by a black man. And basically, right-wingers are using this story as ammo against BLM, as a gotcha against BLM, because see, this black man murdered a white child. It obviously has to be racially motivated, right? Because no other reason was specified by the police. Even though the fucking mother of this child is saying that this wasn't racially motivated and no actual motive was released yet, if one is even going to release. But still, they want to go on and on about this because they're so desperate for some kind of gotcha against all these BLM activists, or against all these BLM protests that have been going on in this country. So they use the murder of a 5-year-old as a way to discredit BLM. How fucking classy is that? You do not give a fuck about this child, aside from the fact that he was murdered by a black man. You would not give two shits if a white man murdered this child, or if a black man murdered a black 5-year-old, or if a black 5-year-old was murdered by a white man. In fact, you'd probably be scrambling to justify that, knowing you people. Stop using the death of a 5-year-old as a way to own the libs. I'm sure there are plenty of other things out there that you could twist and distort without it having to involve murdered 5-year-olds. The reason that various headlines didn't explicitly state the skin color of this child and his murder is because there is nothing to even remotely suggest that this murder was racially motivated. Unlike the many police officers out there unfairly throwing people of color in prison for petty crimes like marijuana possession, or kneeling down on their necks for 8 minutes for supposed counterfeit $20 bills. Oh wait, you like that? Because after the body cam footage of George Floyd's death was released, you used George Floyd not exactly cooperating with police as a justification for him dying, because, you know, not cooperating with police totally means that you have to die in the middle of the fucking street while a knee is pinned down on your neck. Oh wait, he coincidentally had an overdose while the knee was pinned down on his neck for 5+ minutes. That makes a ton of sense, right? Fuck you people, honestly. Like, you people, you're the same people who screech about everything getting politicized. Keep politics out of my sports, even though every sports game opens up with the fucking national anthem. Keep politics out of my TV shows, my movies, my video games, etc., etc. You conveniently don't like it when things get political, when it doesn't benefit your fucking side. But when you see that a white 5-year-old was murdered by a black man, you see that as a golden opportunity to rub it in the other side's face. See, this white 5-year-old was murdered by a black man. This is why black people are bad. This is why BLM is bad. This is why we shouldn't be out on the streets demanding for racial equality. It's fucking sickening, to be honest. And let's humor this for a second. Let's say this was racially motivated. This black man didn't like seeing a white 5-year-old playing in front of his house. What the fuck does that change? No, really, what does it change? How does it change the systemic racism that is prevalent in this country? How does it change the many people of color being unfairly thrown in prisons for, again, petty crimes like marijuana possession? What the fuck does that change if this one black man decided to kill this white 5-year-old just for the heinous crime of being white? Don't get me wrong, this murder is fucking disgusting, but there is nothing, absolutely fucking nothing, to even remotely suggest that it was racially motivated. And I don't know how much I have to fucking stress this, but so many people want to weaponize this kid's death as a gotcha against the other side, against a group of people they don't like. The kid was murdered. It was horrible. The piece of shit who killed him was arrested. He's waiting to receive an almost certainly life sentence right now. Everything is all said and done, yet you still want to say, justice for Cannon Hinnant, justice for Cannon Hinnant. Let this fucking family mourn for their kid in peace without trying to weaponize his fucking death as a political gotcha against the other side that you hate so much. And you hate them so much to the point where you would stop at nothing to smear anything in their faces, even if it has to be the murder of a 5-year-old. Like, stop and think about that for a second. Stop and think how actually fucking disgusting that is. Oh yeah, the kid was white and the murderer was black, so that obviously means this kid's murder was racially motivated. I cracked the case, I'm smart, and that's exactly why the media chooses not to touch this case. Even though I've seen several articles from mainstream media outlets talk about this story, but okay, Sherlock. Bottom line, let this kid rest in peace, let this kid's family mourn, and the kid's killer is behind bars, so everything about this story is, like I said and done, but nonetheless, this is a horrible, horrible fucking story. This kid barely got to live life because some piece of shit decided to snuff him out while he was riding his bike in front of his house, and this kid's family lost their child at such a young age, and it is a tragedy all around. But there is no more justice to be served because the guy you're after is already captured by police and will probably never see sunlight ever again. And some things just happen with no rhyme or reason whatsoever. I understand you want to desperately find some kind of reason as to why this kid was killed, but some people are just sick enough to murder 5-year-olds just on a whim like that. They're just playing outside innocently, being a normal 5-year-old, and that's justification enough for some people to kill them. If there even was a justification to begin with for this guy doing this at all, but we live in a sad and fucked up world with a lot of evil people inhabiting it, but that is not a justification to be racist, and that is absolutely not a justification to weaponize and politicize the murder of a 5-year-old. Rest in peace, Hinnant. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.